Hey there, Torchlight fans. Thank you for joining us today. We are hanging out at the Perfect World offices today. They have been generous enough to let us use their streaming room. I am Paul Hobbs, your community manager for Torchlight Frontiers and Extra Games. And to my right is a new face. This
Hey,
is...
Internet. I'm Sean Stone. I'm the senior game designer on Torchlight Frontiers.
Sean, what does a senior game designer do compared to something like a regular old game designer?
It's the fancy edition of regular game designer. So I coordinate with all the other game designers on all our different projects, make sure that all of our goals are aligned and communicate with the other leads on the whole team. And as a game designer, I get in the nitty-gritty. I'm in the spreadsheets and modifying all the data, and I'm writing quests and designing quests and skills and monsters and all that stuff, and putting things in the game and fixing tons of bugs. I'm personally on the live team as well, so a lot of the bugs that get fixed or in terms of design stuff is fixed by me. Not me alone. Ivy and Anthony are also doing work, but they're also full steam ahead on future content and features.
All right, so you're the guy with all the answers. You know the real nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. So on today's stream, you guys have access to the guy who has the answers for any of like the really hardcore stuff you want to know. So feel free to ask him. Hit us up in the chat here. Let's see. What are we here for today? We are here to talk about Update 6. Yes, Adept's Path, which if you guys have been staying tuned, you guys know that it is largely to do with skill progression changes and leveling changes. We'll give you a brief run of show here, what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about those leveling changes and skill progression changes. Then we will get into all other things, Update 6. But the important thing to know about Update 6 right now is that it arrives May 21st. So next Tuesday. Really, really soon, you guys are going to get a chance to try out all of the new systems and paths for the various classes.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
Lots
yes,
of good
indeed.
stuff in there.
Let's see. We've got our first set of things to talk about will be the skill progression changes, which we published an article about on Tuesday, which kind of went over in summary everything that's going to be coming in this next update. But that's not where you guys first heard about this. We started talking about skill progression changes with you guys somewhere right around Update 3, I think is when the conversation started.
Oh, yeah.
And a little while after that, we put up a forum post with our first thoughts on the ways that we might change the system. We weren't sure how we were going to do it, but we wanted your input early.
Definitely.
And you guys were very helpful in providing some direction. If you check the news article itself, I believe it makes reference to the forum post, and you can go check that out if you guys aren't aware of the details of that. But there are a bunch of things that you were able to help us with, like being able to determine how many points per skill and everything else. But let's first go over what the system is like today. What is that system like, Sean?
So today, as in
the current live build, yes.
Okay,
and then you'll get to describe.
I've been playing this update content for so long now. So currently there's skill points dropping all throughout the world. There's little shinies. You pick them up, you hoard the points, and then you go back and you look at what you can spend them on at your building and your fort, and you pick and you choose. And I want to pick that one, and I'll buy that, or I'll save up for days and days or even weeks to get some other one way down the road. And there's a lot of hemming and hawing, and do I buy this one right now, or do I just hoard and wait? And there's a lot of hoarding, and there's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of questioning what is the right thing and stuff like that. So we heard loud and clear that was an unpleasant stress. It was not fun to have that kind of question and to feel like you're just grinding and collecting these things out in the world. It's fun to pick things up. Don't get me wrong. I love shinies too, Angry Iceberg. But I think it's the wrong kind of shiny to be picking up out in the world. So we had a lot of feedback through the community. We heard lots of good ideas and things like that. And in the end, the system that we ended up going with is probably pretty familiar from other past ARPGs you may have played, notably like Torchlight 2. And so that is more about, now that we've made the previous changes that we've made to progression of having an actual single value that is your level, which is sort of an aggregate of all your frontier levels. Now that we have that, we are sort of just going off of that, and like as you gain levels in whatever frontier it is that you're going through, you're getting skill points that you can then spend in the skills that you unlock by gaining those levels. And that's probably going to be pretty familiar to anybody from Torchlight 2 and these other games that they've played, as well as then you can invest additional points that you've gathered into those skills to improve them. And we came up with a couple of cool and interesting ways to improve those skills for every skill.
Before we get too far
Sure,
into
yeah.
that, what were some of the guiding principles that we established as we started developing this new system? What problems were we trying to solve, and how did we know we were, nearing the mark, basically?
Right. Well, we wanted players to be able to plan, so to see it. It comes right back to those classic tech trees. You look at games like Civilization, things like that. You have the beautiful unroll the big map, and you see the things that will unlock down the way as you make progress. And it's helpful to see those paths and at what level things become available and how much points they're going to be and what that'll get you and how those interact with other skills. And so we wanted you to be able to plan like that and have a path set before you where you can make consistent progress forward and a pace that felt not grindy but enjoyable, and you make progress along the way to something bigger, interesting, something that you're targeting, that you want to use for your build and coordinate with your skills and affixes, things like that.
They're telling us our audio's a little low. I'm fiddling with some stuff over here on the side, but we'll try and speak up just a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Turn
and-
down the music.
Yeah, and then it has to be scalable. You'll notice here there are question marks. We're still in alpha,
Yes.
right? We haven't finished everything yet, and we put those in there because some of those are skills that we have started, but they're not finished yet. Some of them work pretty well, but we don't have any of the VFX finished for. Some of them need a little more bug fixing. Some of them, there's a couple of them just haven't been started yet, but we're on the road, and we've plotted out, these are the places and the types of skills that we want to have, and this is where they'll go. And so right now, yes, it's kind of a question mark, and you're not able to put points in them, and at a future point it will change. But it is it's something for you to think about in terms of the overall scope of your character, and it's something for us to fill in as we go, and we will continue to make additional skills to put in to these classes and the future classes that we add.
All right. So I see people asking to see the gameplay. That reminds me that there are plenty of people that are tuning in.
Oh, and
for the
also they were
first
saying
time.
the loading screen into that gameplay is pretty rad, right?
That's
brand
true.
new.
That's right. It's all animated. I totally forgot to introduce that.
Kronk is kind of slithering, moving, wiggling that belly and all that. So yeah, it's pretty rad. And it's not just flash and cool look either. The loading screen was the thing we'd been meaning to add. It is also a helpful place for us to add tips for the game, as well as string along some lore. It's another channel for us to provide some world setting and story type stuff in there. There's also some very helpful tips in there of things that you might not even know were hotkeys and things that were pretty useful. So.
All right, so I'll be showing off the game here, and you guys get to pummel Sean with questions. He's got the chat up in front of him here. You gave us a really good rundown of the skill progression here and how we arrived at this new system. There is an area that was dramatically impacted by the skill upgrade, and that's the leveling system.
Right,
And this is what I got to talk with you about a couple days ago, and you were able to give me the brain download of all the areas that it touched and why we needed to do it and how we did it. Go ahead and describe that for the audience, if you will.
Right. So we wanted to provide enough levels across the different frontiers for you to feel like you're not grinding and you're making a good progress. Excuse me. As such, we got a lot of feedback that you're feeling kind of grindy, right? So we made adjustments to how quickly you level. And so a lot of that is how much XP it takes to gain each level. In addition, we've added XP from completing quests and from killing champions. We did a tuning pass on how much XP you get for champions and bosses, which is substantially more than the regular monster.
I shouldn't have leveled myself to 50, so you could actually probably see the tick up
Cheater.
here. Yeah, I totally cheated. Somebody pointed it out earlier. Yes, I was absolutely cheating. That's how I've got everything on this account right now. That's how I'm next level. Got all the points in the world that I could want to spend.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, yeah, we made a lot of changes to the XP tuning and the amount at which that scales and the distribution of levels. And we redistributed the monsters across the dungeons and changed the level of what dungeons are set to, and just did a lot of work on that tuning to get that to feel less grindy, feel like you're making better progress. Yeah, I understand that some grind is good. I think that there's less of that at the earlier levels. Like, I think the costs increase as you go up in level, like relative to how much time you spend and doing your activities, like about how long it takes you to gain each level as you go further. But then, they do flatten out at a point so they don't become too ridiculous in terms of our authored content. Like, right now, the journey through each frontier is going to take you through level 30. Level 50 is the cap currently. Beyond level 30, you totally can still go into Mapworks and plumb those depths and get new loot. And there's still some progression there of the monsters. Those change throughout that flow and the gear, things like that. At about the midpoint between 30 and 50, it then starts to escalate, and it becomes more of a grind and more of a like, I'm kind of in this tougher time period gathering things in that sort of end game state for that frontier. It's tough to talk about end game like right now. One, we're in alpha. Two, what's the end? Because there's not really an end. This is ongoing live service, but it is once you've completed that authored content. And that is not to say that grinding in Mapworks is all we're ever going to do for end game. So we've got lots of other things in the works and things that we're talking about, but is a thing that you can do. That is a place where you can go to continue to get levels and gear and stuff.
We've got a couple questions in the chat here. Yeah. We've got one with Fox Tango up here. What part did you not like about the grind? You may have just covered that, actually, so feel free to
it felt like often, so personally and from anecdotal feedback, when you're going through and you're completing the quests and you're heading to a particular dungeon, when you get there and you've completed all the quests before and you've even done some just hanging out in the public area and killing things, and you get to that dungeon, you're underleveled. And then either you have a tougher time than we anticipate and plan on for you to have, or you just have to go out and grind somewhere else. And that became worse and worse the further you go into the game. So that should hopefully now be less of the case. In testing these changes for Update 6, I did a bunch of different runs from different points in the game, and it still felt less grindy, and it felt pretty good in the progress I was making. Sometimes I would arrive in a dungeon a level before the dungeon the level that dungeon is tuned to, but it didn't feel overly challenging. And there's some tuning that we do in the combat values for the monsters, such that the further you go into each frontier, the more your difference in level, the difference in your level and their level matters. So you can sort of push yourself a little further ahead at the lower levels. You know, you're starting out, some of your gear might not be the greatest yet, so you can go a little bit further without being sort of slammed at making progress or trying to put a dent in these guys. But as you get further into it, that your ability to push further ahead than your level becomes more difficult, which I think it should the further you go into the frontiers.
And another question here. Somebody asked, when are we going to get a bindable move key?
Oh.
I believe, is it not bindable? Am I just totally mistaken about what's bindable here? Because I know we've got our force move key already in the game.
There is. Like, yeah, I personally don't fool with the keybind options kind of ever. I move around and I assign different skills to slots, but that's a good question. I know that we had worked on a force move option, but
It's out there. It's there. Well, if people keep asking for the bindable option, it's not. I could swear it was, but maybe I'm mistaken. We'll take care of that.
yeah.
Let's see here. I know some of you guys are really wanting to see what the actual increments are for all the skills and everything, so I'll spend a second and we'll just kind of like mouse over every skill here. A lot of people were, I guess I'll take care of these guys. They do pack a punch, actually. I forgot I'm in a level 50 map works. And I have not cheated to give myself total invulnerability.
Right.
But I'm not going to be able to do it here. I'm going to have to walk away into a corner, and then we'll go over the skills really quick.
Hide, Forge, hide.
So a lot of people were calling these skill trees. These are not exactly trees by the strictest definition here. We're calling them paths. So we've got Brawl and we've got Barrage for the Forged. Every class, so the Railmaster and the Dust Mage, each have their own.
Dako's tanking it. He's got it.
Yeah,
no, it's good.
And I'll mouse over it, so when you guys want to scroll back through or go watch the VoD or something, you guys can see the point change values on each one of these. If you guys want to start theory crafting already, for those of you that are in the alpha. For those of you not in the alpha, we do have a Gleam contest. I believe Fox, our moderator, is posting the link pretty regularly in the chat here. Just make sure you do all the entry things that you can, and you will stand a pretty good chance of getting one. I've set the end date for the 21st, the day of the patch. Nice. And at the end of the day, because I'll be doing a stream that day, by the way, tune in on the 21st, I'll be doing a stream that day. At the end of that day, I will go ahead and I will select the winners from the Gleam contest, and we will pass out some more keys.
Awesome. Yeah, so I see Fox Tango in here asking about itemization that affects skills and gameplay choices. So there are affixes on gear that affect various skills. A lot of them are things regarding cooldown or energy generation. I think there may be some that are damage, things like that. I believe they've been planned out such that those affixes are not the same things that you're getting synergy improvements from your skills on. So there are, if you're really into Holy Bolt, you will find both you can make improvements to that skill itself. You can also find ways to improve that skill by improving other skills in your paths. And you can also collect gear that also improve your Holy Bolt. And so there are those things, plus we will add more as well. My hope is in the next update or two, I want to spend some time focused on itemization and affixes, and I do plan on adding some more of those types of affixes to gear.
Action Cal, that's Pappy. He is asking if we are done with the construction on our first floor of our office. Yes, if you tune into the Discord, we talk about it a lot.
Mostly, we don't have a dishwasher yet, which kind of sucks because we got to get in there and scrub things. And they tell me the countertops are going to get finished this week, but other than that, we need to put some art on walls, and then we're all good. Everybody's in their desks and working right now. I'm looking at you, Ryan. Come on.
What else do we got here? Asking more about the force click here or force move, type of itemization. What else? Are there planned +1 to specific skill stats on gear? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are affixes on gear that improve stats on skills. I mean, there are a lot of different things we can improve on skills, like the cooldown on it, the amount of damage it does, the duration, the range, things like that. And there's a variety of those in there. Some of them, I think, only appear on rare gear or better, or it's certain higher levels. So those are in there, and we will be adding more.
Oh, my poor doggo went down. So in Update 6, there are several improvements to pets.
I gave him more health.
You gave him more health.
Yeah, and he's not going to be gone that long. He'll be back soon.
Right. I think that one happened in the last update. We changed the amount of time that they are gone when they are running away, currently scared. But we've upped the health. What else have we done? I know we've done some preliminary work for pets in this update.
Right. So I believe they navigate a little better. They don't get hung up on things as much. There's also been some general navigation improvements that help your pets. And I think they try now to sort of target where you're going, like to try and stay with you better. Mm-hmm. There's still work to be done. They're not perfect yet. There's some times when I don't know why, but they get left behind, or they'll sit there, or they don't follow you through a warp, things like that. Those are known bugs. Those are things that we will be working on. And also we did some tuning improvements to the amount of damage they do, the amount of health they have, so that they will last longer in combat with you and will do the right amount of damage, not be too crazy OP as they were for a little bit while we're working on the update.
I remember doing 4 or 5 times the amount of damage they should.
I believe we hotfixed that. Yeah, so I think they're feeling better. And once we get some pet skills, I think that would be pretty sweet.
I think somebody mentioned it just a little bit earlier. They asked about Respec. I think it's scrolled past the top here. But we have not, yes, first of all, respect.
Yeah.
But we have only recently made an announcement that we are working on a Respec system as a part of this skill and progression overhaul. We put up a small post in the forum that kind of covers the nitty-gritty details of what people can expect as they transition into Update 6 here for people with progress that isn't at level cap. And one of the areas that players were saying, in addition to saying that we needed faster leveling, was we probably need a Respec system. We put a card up on our Trello. If you haven't checked out our Trello yet, it is our public-facing roadmap. I don't have a URL memorized for that one, but just go to Google and type in Torchlight Frontiers roadmap, and I'm pretty sure it's the first hit, and you'll land on Trello, and you'll be able to look around, and you'll find the Respec card, and get a little bit of detail there.
Yeah. We are talking about various ways to implement Respec. We think we have a pretty good plan. And so we know what we want to do, and we're going to be working on that sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. We don't have a date for it yet, but we know. As soon as you start talking about, like, oh, we're going to make some sort of change at all of any kind to progression, like, where's my Respec?
Yes.
I need Respec right now.
Somebody asked, are we making a 4th class? Is it already in the works?
Oh, there's... what can I say?
Yeah.
Yes, it's on the Trello. As we mentioned, let me look it up. What was the code name? Remora.
Remora, that's right.
We're working on Remora, which is totally not the actual name of the class, of course.
It's some random fish.
We have no... Remoras are the little fish that swim alongside the sharks, and they claim...
Are they? Did you look this up before you showed up on the stream
no,
today? No,
I know about these things.
I see.
And so they... Yeah, we're working on that class. It's already got some skills. It doesn't have enough skills made yet for it to be ready. It's got a whole suite of gear that is in the long content pipeline. We're making them, and we're starting to play it. It has some cool mechanics and some fun weapons, and that's all I can say about it right now.
Yeah. We can't share too many details. It'll be a big announcement sometime in the future. No date for that, but somebody pointed out that you can see a silhouette of the 4th character on the Torchlight Frontier website.
Oops. Yeah, that's cool.
Go speculate. There's been plenty of chatter about it on the Discord about what it could possibly be. Trying to infer things from the color of the silhouette, so that
it's not a llama.
It's probably not a llama. It's not a necro llama, which was some weird class that people
were
were
on the list.
spitballing us for a while.
Yeah. Action Cow asks the very timely question, what is codenamed Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua?
Hey, you did it. Well
Of course
done,
I
Sean.
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I've been to
perfect.
Hawaii. I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You nailed it. That was actually the very first thing that was on the Trello board, and the Trello board was
Right.
delayed by about a week,
Okay.
was supposed to be the Rail Master.
Oh.
And
Done.
yeah.
We
so-
have delivered your Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua.
Yeah, so it's out there. Thanks for bringing that up, Poppy. I knew you weren't going to let us live that one down, man. That was our Bodie McBoatface moment, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
My question is Diablo 2. What kind of question is that? What else do we got going on in Update 6 here? So I know we have a card for it, but people were asking for some better revive options just because it's like a staple of the genre. You're used to being able to revive either at your corpse, where you've fallen.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say corpse. I mean, I got to try and keep our ESRB
Where you
rating
have
low.
fallen-
Where you have
where-
fallen, you've
yes.
been defeated. Right.
Yeah, and
Momentarily
beyond that, I have always intended for that to be the case. It's
Okay.
roughly carried over from Torchlight 2, and it's part of some of the changes that we had regarding like potion caps and things like that, where you need to feel that there's some sort of threat, there's a challenge, there's repercussions for not doing great at combat.
Right.
There's got to be some reason why you care about why you live or die in this game. And so the cost and options there for revive are part of that.
All right. I have been mowing down the goblin forces here with a forge, but let's go ahead and swap over to maybe the Railmaster. Okay, and I'll show you guys the skill set, the paths for the Railmaster. Let's go to character select here. There was somebody who asked it earlier and I missed it. They were asking about legendaries.
Oh yeah.
And some of
They're
the work that's gonna
asking about having something to do with them once they're out leveled, they're no longer useful, things like that. So we have the very beginning vestiges of a crafting system. We have some buildings in your fort that allow you to take the raw materials that you gather out in your adventures and convert those to processed materials. That's just the very beginning of things that we're doing around crafting. And right now, some of that is used for crafting decorations, getting the materials that you need to buy it. Eventually, there are things that we would like to craft besides that. It might be gear, it might be additional stuff for your fort, it might be related to the relic weapons or things for your pet, things like that. So that is stuff that we could see. You have a building that you can recycle some of your legendaries or things like that. And don't forget, you have a shared stash. You can stick your gear in there and play with another character, and that character, if they are of the right class, can use that gear off.
I gotta wait 5 seconds. I always forget that. Oh yeah, that probably did it. All right, so let's hop over into another dungeon here, and we will demo some of these new skills. So we've talked about it in our Discord channels, and I think we even got it up on the Trello now. We've got 2 new cars coming for the Railmaster. Shotgun car, pretty self-explanatory. Big gun, bang. Flamethrower,
Fire.
lots of flame.
Do it.
So in our old seating layout, I sit right next to Christian, and I got to watch him build these things up. And that guy's a master with a flamethrower, and you are going to watch me fail miserably.
Sure.
With the
Compare
flamethrower.
contrast.
Yes.
That's fun.
It's actually, it requires kind of a bit of skill to use well.
Yeah. I love having the different cars, and I think it's a fun mix and match feature thing that you could roll out with a crew with a couple of Railmasters in your party and have a variety of cars.
All right, so we'll let this car roll forward here. Those guys are just burning stuff up.
Oh, that's a legendary. He's got a name and everything, right?
Yeah, he does. Here, and then the active shot for the
His name
shotgun
won't matter.
is a
We'll let
blast.
him off, right? Grimneys.
I'll bring back my train here.
Torch the Grimneys. There you go. That's some nice fire.
So it shoots out a persistent jet for just a couple seconds, and it's got a pretty short cooldown once you've got it all leveled up, like I do. And you'll be able to just roast a bunch of enemies, keeping your focus fire pretty high if you're good with targeting, which I'm not.
Yeah.
We'll take out this guy and see if I can pick up a legendary or something.
Hey man, if you get just a magic shield or something unuseful for you, it's not. That's how the dice roll, baby. I can't guarantee anything. There you go.
All right. Well,
It's magic, but it's watch
What do we
out for
score?
the fire. It's a mace.
A mace, not quite as
Mace is,
good as my Phasic Noctis Venomous Railhammer.
But if you're into bleed, it's a bleed thing.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we'll take a look at the Conductor Path here. You start out first being able to upgrade your basic trains. I don't think you're ever going to feel bad dumping points into this ability.
Train good.
Yeah, if you're going to go trains, it's awesome. It just ups your passive damage to all your trains. And after you put in 1 point, the next tier requires only 1 point to get into this next tier. And you'll unlock your first secondary car. Confusing statement. But the point of the mortar car, I can show you in a little bit here, just lobs some amazing mortars continuously, and you can.
Yeah,
focus
it just
fire.
does that for you over a fairly wide area, but then you can also use the skill in your bar to just on demand fire out another one. I love that one.
And it's got a on-ground burn effect, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it really good.
Yeah.
Shield cards next. This tier costs 5 points, so I have to put a minimum of 5 points into the conductor tree before I get here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe it's 10 points to get down to the shotgun car, which I'm already at here.
Nice.
And flamethrower car. I'm bouncing over each of these so you guys can go back and watch the VoD later and take a look at the stats and start doing some theory crafting on your own.
Yeah, so you'll see this whole path here is all centered on the train and the train-related stuff, whereas Lineage is more about the proud history of being a rail master out in the frontier and using the tools of your trade and ghost trains and crazy stuff like that. So.
For those of you that don't know, I feel like I talk about it in Discord and probably with the moderators more than anybody else. Sean is also our resident lore master. All of the documents that I read in our shared drive just have Sean's name on them. He's been tooling and tinkering with these ideas for ages at this
I
point.
dump words in there. Sometimes people read it. Some of it gets in the game. Some of it just informs what goes in the game. I check with Max on a lot of the stuff. It's his baby. Yeah.
Yeah, so Ghost Train is our pinnacle achievement right now for our pinnacle skill for the path. As you can see, we've got plenty of other skills that we're planning and working on now to round out the rest of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I really enjoy using the shotgun car most of all because it's a skill shot that I'm terrible at. But I really,
You've got something to try and prove it. Oh, you got a rare.
Hey, sweet.
Ember one.
I'll show you what I mean here. I'll try and do a skill shot as it rolls on by here and try. No, I won't because they're not clustered anymore. But, pow, no, I missed. See, I'm terrible. I'm trying to get multiple with one shot.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastic feeling when you get it. We'll see if I can pull it off at some point during the stream today.
Nice.
What sort of questions have we got over there?
Let's see. So Action Cow asks, when are you releasing the new skills? This is the stuff we're showing right now is all May 21st.
May 21st, yeah, update 6, Adept's Path.
And if you're
Real
meaning the question mark, oh yeah, hidden TBD skills, TBD.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, we've got them on our list. There are things that we do want to work on, but part of the whole of your character is your class skills, but there's also the relics, your pet. That sort of goes into the whole of making your character capable in combat and having a good menu of fun, exciting things to do. So we're spending time making pet skills and improving how pets work and that functionality, as well as improving relics. You know, we've gotten a lot of feedback on how the relics work and how people envision they would design it, but you know, we've got a pretty good plan, and we're working on improving those as well. So probably the next improvements we'll make to builds and your character will be in the realm of the pets and the relics. And then we'll be going back to the class skills. So I wouldn't hold your breath out for them in the next update. But we will not forget about them. We put that question mark right there so we remember.
Right.
And more importantly, they remember and remind us.
Yes, this is like the most epic sticky note, basically.
Yes.
Somebody asks, where was it here? What's the plan to keep TLF something with heaps of replay or ongoing play value post-launch, seasons, expansions, etc.? So
Well,
what have we done as far as seasons so far?
Well, we had our first contract. It was a bit of a test contract. It was not as long as we would normally have a contract last. It did not have as many rewards or quests as we would like, and the quests need some improvements. So we got a lot of good feedback on those as well, and I think as part of going to a wider release, we will be also working on improving the contract system, and we already started work on cool rewards you can get from that. That is sort of that seasonal kind of content that comes and goes. Additionally, we're always working on additional classes and frontiers. Let me check the code name we got for our next frontier. Do you remember what it's called?
I don't.
Yeah.
No. I set up the
Yeah.
board, but I don't remember.
Wobbegong.
Wobbegong,
So we're
great.
working on Wobbegong. That's a great name. That one is coming along very nicely. I think it is
Hey, there's a good shot. I
like
did it.
three quarters of the way through production, and it should be a few updates for now.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
okay.
It depends on how long it takes to go through QA and things like that, but it's already well underway, and we've started another one after that. So it's always a thing that we'll be working on and releasing new content.
I see a pretty nitty-gritty question in there from Roomba, or Room 4. Sean, any word on how fast the numbers are scaling, especially damage on weapons already close to 10,000? Readability issues.
Oh, yeah. We can definitely look into the display of them. We want those numbers to go up so you feel powerful. The monster health also goes up related to that, and so hopefully they are also balanced such that the challenge relative to the hit points that you gain in levels, the damage that your weapons deal, and the hit points the monsters have are all relatively consistent relative to each other as you go up in levels. So there's a lot of math that goes into comparing your level, the monster's level, your gear stats, all that stuff. Like, I don't want to super bore everybody for those details. Like,
Please do.
And I don't have. More importantly, I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me,
I see.
so I can't refer to those numbers. But
Oh, my God, fell off.
so there's a delta factor between your level and the monster's level that the further a monster's level from yours, you start to apply less of your total damage to the monsters, and so you're having less effect. It's effectively giving them greater armor. That is not really a factor at the lower levels. Once we get into about level 10, that starts to apply, but just a little bit, and it gradually seeps into, I think, about level 20, 24, then it's sort of fully applied from there on. And then it's a sort of a factor that is something you'll have to deal with of if you're going to push much further ahead than your level, then the monsters become tougher, which I think feels pretty good. Look out for those bombs.
Yeah, they wrecked my train already.
What is the level of the last zone in the frontier? We finished the story mode on 50, or do you have to grind the last levels after the quests are complete? It's a good question. So each of the frontiers ends at 30, so the public areas right now are a bit lower level than like the deepest end of the last dungeon. So the last boss in the authored content in the frontiers is level 30. So you kill that guy and you fought the level 30 bosses. Our level cap is 50. So after that, you can go into phase dungeons. If you happen to find phase beasts, you can use the maps from MapWorks and go into MapWorks dungeons and play 30 to 50. We don't have enough authored content yet to provide you 50 levels of content in every frontier. It's paced such that it takes this amount of time to complete a dungeon, and we want you to feel like you're making good leveling progress and hitting those dings at a good rate. Additionally, like even if we had the whole frontier take you to level 50, I'd probably increase the cap at that point. Like we don't want you to just like
Right.
hit the cap, finish that last quest, you slay the last boss. And, cool, I hit the cap, and then it's like, well, okay, because I'm just done with this frontier, and then I'll just stop playing the game. Like there are other things to do, and I think it feels more rewarding to continue to push that bar, even if it's a little slower, than just have it stay at one value and just look at the gear you're collecting, things like that.
I'm not liking this stage. All those bombs are really
The-
doing a number on
so,
our train
yeah,
at the moment.
So I have a bug on me that is hopefully in the next update of like, tune that back. Not every one of the monsters in one of those map works will drop a bomb. We'll tune it to some percentage. I'm thinking 30%, something like that. So it's not quite as annoying.
Let's see, what do we got in the questions here?
So a good question from Action Cow. Are we seeing the frontiers in their final state, or do you have additional held back areas and mechanics and bosses for the release? That's an excellent question, because that's some of the stuff we're working on right now. So we've gotten some of the feedback that like, some of these areas, they feel samey, or like, I wish there was something that stood out more. There's some levels that are getting sort of inserted into the existing frontiers. Additionally, we've been making more monsters. We got a couple, one or two new monsters that have gone in this update. There'll be more monsters in the next update. And some of those get turned into mini bosses or bosses. And those are fun. Additionally, there are some mechanics, like right now we've got exploding barrels in there that can damage you or the monsters. We have other hazards we'd like to add. And those will be going in as they're completed, and it's sort of a on the side as we're working on other things in the environment thing that we work on.
I saw a question a little earlier asking about passive skills. What is changing in Update 6 with passive skills?
Who's what now? What's a passive?
Yeah, what's a passive? I see what you did there.
Right. Yeah, there aren't passives anymore. Some of those passives are really cool. I get that. I personally really like the, what is it? Better Together? The Rail Master one where
So
you're
standing near.
close to, so now you will get that when you are using your when you're standing next to your training using your melee skills. That is a thing that's integrated. We've taken some of these things that were passives, and those have actually become some of the these secondary, we call them synergies with your other skills. So those are things that factor in as you make progression in your skill path. Some of those things will get added back in or might make their way back in as affixes. But right now it's not a thing as a separate passive anymore. If you like that kind of thing of like I just slot this in and things just happen and are better, you keep your eye out for pet skills, because that'll be kind of similar to that.
That's true. Important question, when are we getting damage numbers? Sean, where do you stand on damage numbers? We've heard from Tyler, we've heard from Max. Where do you stand?
I like them as long as they are well done. Like I've totally seen games where like the numbers just they cover the face of the monster and they're flying out all the time. I think that having them animate in and be the right contrast and sort of decline and animate away, I think that's cool. I think that looks great. We've discussed it, and I think I'll have to check with Max and Tyler. I think where we left off is like, yeah, we would not be opposed to it if we have it as an option, and the players who want to turn it off can turn it off. We've also discussed having maybe a target dummy, which is sticking your fort, or maybe it's in town, and that when you attack that, it just always shows those numbers, so you can play with it, mess with it. Yeah, as Anthony says, damage number good. He's a very articulate caveman. And it's, I love seeing those. I know that the community loves seeing them too. We even talked about maybe, like right now, when you're playing an editor, you can get, when you're a designer, all kinds of like logged combat stats and stuff like that. And we had talked about, it could be nice to even clean that up, and maybe when you attack the target dummy, like we could even dump that to a files or something like that. You know, for people who really care. Like, we
Right.
know you care. We want to get that to you. We're gonna try. We're prioritizing all the different features, and that's the sort of thing that, like, cool, love it. But there's some other things that are probably higher priority right now.
Something we're not going to worry about at the moment. Gotcha.
Not at the moment.
Yapper is the perfect target dummy.
Yeah,
Oh, poor Yapper.
I agree. We should hit him more.
He is an evil creature. I don't
Just
understand why
throwing
people are
nuts.
so
Just throwing
sympathetic.
Just, he's done things, unspeakable things.
What else do we got here?
Goblin decoration. Yeah, I think Anthony tried prototyping, just throwing together kit bashing a target dummy with that cutout goblin thing. I think that's what we're thinking.
Somebody asked, why am I only showing skills from 2 tabs? There are only 2 tabs that have to do with the paths you can take. The other 2 tabs, we've got your relic weapon tab, which I currently don't have a relic weapon because I'm a terrible cheater and jumped myself to where I needed to be without equipping one. And then the other tab is some of the preliminary work we're doing.
Look at those pet skills.
The one.
Pet
It's
skill.
very effective, though.
Right.
Yeah, Marcy out there just ran away. She's no longer using her pet skills.
But yeah, like I said, your build, your characters is about those class paths, you know, the 2 class paths per class, and your relic and your pets. So work is underway right now. We're going to stick something in the relics tab there, which will show the progress you make on your relic and the things you get, as well as pet skills, which is something that we are working on currently.
Let's see. Arki Hamaru asks, will you guys have in-game achievements like kill 10,000 goblins or bugs, etc.?
Hopefully it's better than kill 10,000 goblins. But yes, we will have achievements at some point. We have talked about releasing on different platforms. I'm pretty sure it's a requirement that we have
Yes,
achievements.
that's true for Xbox. And
Besides wanting to have them.
Yeah.
I think they're a fun thing to do. Certainly these days, probably people care less about that. It's less of a motivating factor. But I know Ivy worked on the achievements for Marvel Heroes. And so between us designers, we'll come up with, I think, some fun, interesting, cool achievements to do when we need to put them in there, and hopefully that's it.
We've got a question. I think he's more or less just giving us design advice here. Rebel Galaxy Rich, can you capture beasts in the wild?
Rebel Galaxy
Eric, my
that's
mistake.
Max's brother.
Yes. And bring them back to your fort in cages. And then can you train them to be peaceful and wander around in your fort and finally train them enough to aid you in your adventures? It sounds like you've got
Eric,
the game
it sounds like you're designing this game. You know you're working on the other one, right? Rebel Galaxy Outlaw is looking awesome, guys. If you haven't checked that out, and I know that's not why he's
Right.
here, right? That's not. It's because he
curious
loves the
about the
game
game.
and he supports it. But yeah, go check out their game because I'm super hyped for that. It's super cool. That's a cool idea. That's interesting. So the initial design for pets was like, okay, Torchlight 2, you pick your starter pet and you go, and that's just your buddy forever. Like, as a game that's a live service, we want to be able to add lots of new cool pets and have a huge variety. Someday we'd love to have lots of pets. I'm not going to put a number out there. But
Sons.
so initially in the design, it was like, well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to trap pets. I'm going to trap around the frontier. And then I got to think about that more, like, that doesn't sound like something I want to do to my buddy. That doesn't sound fun. So we have ways that you are a positive, cool dude rescuing and saving and helping pets and getting them. That is sort of our end goal with acquiring additional pets. You've got your starter pets right now. We'll have ways, a valve for you to try out other pets besides the one that you picked the first time. We're all working on all that stuff, and it'll come in time.
All right, so I'm probably not going to demo the Dust Mage here, but I will show you guys the new skills. He's got dark and light pads. And again, this is just for those of you that want to go back and watch the VoD and pull out the various points here so you can start theory crafting. I think we've only got about 5 minutes left on stream here, so now's the time to get your question answered. We'll just round it out here with a Q&A. Again, we are giving away keys, but it's through Gleam. There should be a link somewhere down there, or Fox will just throw it into the chat space here in just a second, and you guys will be able to earn a key, which should be delivered on the 21st, the day of the patch. You'll get an email from me, so look for that.
Okay, so Judge 80 asks, can you tell us the story behind Ector as a name? I think Tyler's answered this on previous streams, but it was looking through books. It's very related to the choice. I think it was Alan Adam chose Blizzard out of the dictionary. And it's sort of looking through the books of like what are cool words, and maybe looking online in a dictionary like what's related to adventure, and sort of an old Gaelic word, adventures in another world. And that's kind of what we do. We send you on adventures in another world. Action Cow asks, will there be an option to save skill setup with wardrobes and other ways? Right now, wardrobes are all about your gear, and the skills are in your skills menu. They're separate right now, so there's not a way to save that related to your wardrobe or something like that. I believe we've added the pet gear to the wardrobe now, so that you can change all that together. But yeah, it's only 6 slots. It's not that much of a headache to move things around. So it's interesting. Perhaps as we build a wider variety, that'll become something we need more of a quality of life management feature for.
Yeah, here they are.
Yeah.
Our cool little pet tags
Yep.
for the wardrobe. Finally added.
Yeah.
It was missing.
Totally. And now you can see your inventory, and it's all working, all that good stuff.
Right, that's right. We were experiencing some sort of issue. You couldn't see your current equipment while you were in the wardrobe, or in the stash tab, maybe it was. What do we see? No longer getting extra keys. I think I saw it earlier. Somebody was asking, are we still sending out invites? We are sending out invites pretty regularly. We have the next wave of invites queued up for the week of Update 6. So sometime during that week, we'll be sending out another huge wave of invites so folks can come and play the game. As always, go to torchlightfrontiers.com and sign up. Any final questions? And then we're going to hit the road here, guys.
Yeah, I agree. The relic weapon in your wardrobe, that could be useful. We'd have to see how that plays with the skills that those grant and how those are slotted, but that could be possible. I think that is a thing for us to look into. It's good advice there.
All right. I think that's that, folks. Thank you for tuning in today.
Awesome. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, me too, I mean. I am super pumped to get to play with you guys on Tuesday. So tune in again on Play Torchlight, twitch.tv/Play Torchlight on Tuesday, and I will be demoing the new update and just playing Desk Mage, I think, is the goal. I'm going to try out the new leveling system, and I don't know, I'm going to try and go for, I'll just set an arbitrary goal of 4 hours or so.
I found a really nice build with Entropy and Holy Bolt that I really enjoyed. And, yeah, I'm interested to see what you come up with.
Again, go to playtorchlightfrontiers.com. Sign up if you haven't already. You can follow us on Twitter, Torchlight. Come to Discord, discord.gg/playtorchlight. You'll find us. All right, guys.
Awesome.
We're out of here. Bye.